Okay, it has been started and sharing my screen with you. And before that, I am opening one file in which I would explain you the arbitrage pricing theory. Now, there is some fancy math involved over there, but believe me, it won't be very much difficult for you to understand. That fancy math is easy to crack if you understand this conceptually well. Now, you must have the idea about, all of you must have the idea about the regression as well as the multiple regression. And if it is not, I'll give you the briefing of it. Do not worry. Sharing my screen, and let me explain that to you through the workings in the Excel file only so you get it in a better way. Now, arbitrage pricing policy is the extended version of the CAPM, that is the capital asset pricing model. Now, capital asset pricing model is based on a very simple kind of an argument, that see if there is some risk free rate expected by the investor in any of the asset class in which they invest, at least this much of a expectation any investor would be having on any share, because see they this kind of a rate they can get in some of the risk less assets too. So that is something which is the risk free rate plus beta, that stands for the sensitivity of the stock or any security that we are taking into account right now, in bracket Rm minus Rf. We have derived this formula, we have understood it well. Now this was the expectations of the equity shareholder, or we may call it the KE. Yes, anyone want to say something? But someone was trying to say something. Anyone? Okay, no worries. You can speak at any point of time. Do not worry. Now, this arbitrage pricing theory is the extended version of it. And let me tell you why. Before that, let me just again give you the overview of what we had done over here. This was called as the risk premium in the market, Rm minus Rf. Say this is the return of the entire market, and this is the risk free rate you get on any security, that is the Rf. Now the market which gives you some return which is over and above the risk free rate, now this is called the risk premium, and that you get because you are taking the risk to invest in any of the stocks of the market. Now you cannot have the same risk premium expectation from everyone, right? You cannot expect the same percentage of the return from the Chhaganlal Limited and the same percentage of the return from the Reliance Industries Limited. Both are different. So there comes a beta. So beta of the companies would be different. Now beta stands for the sensitivity factor, sensitivity, indicator. That means how sensitive your companies are as compared to the market. So if the beta is 1.2, that stands out to be that if entire market goes up by 1, then your company would go up by 1 by 2. Now that is applicable when there would be a negative trend as well. If the entire market goes down by 1, then your company would go down by 1.2. So higher the sensitivity, higher would be the return expectation. And this works in both the ways. That's the, I can say, the two-sided sword. બે ધારી તલવાર છે. જેટલું રિસ્ક એટલું રિટર્ન પણ મળશે અને એટલો લોસ પણ થઈ શકે. Now after this, if you try to analyze this theory well, there is only one factor which is taken into account, which is the sensitivity related to the market. And in some of the cases over here in place of Rm, there would be the return from the portfolio, right? So if the entire portfolio you take, you need to see this, what is the sensitivity of one particular asset in the portfolio. So you find the beta of that asset to the portfolio. Now in the portfolio management, I would also take you through this beta calculation practically. I need to take one extra session of yours in which we would see the beta calculation. Won't be taking much of time of us. It's very easy to do. Do not worry. If you have the range of the returns from the two stocks, beta is very easy to be calculated in the Excel. We'll go to that. Now, if you try to analyze this, as I was saying, that this only takes into account the one factor, nothing else. That is the market return. Now, my dear friends, it's not only the market return which decides that what is the risk premium of the asset. There could be some various other aspects too. This cap arbitrage pricing policy again tells you that you expect the risk-free rate over here. Perfectly fine, understood. It also takes into account the risk-free rate plus something. But in plus something, it also tries to consider the various other factors too, not just the market return. Say, for example, the GDP growth rate of the country also affects the return expectation from any stock. So that is another factor we have taken. Say the overall Nifty, which also affects the market return. So we have taken a different factor, that is Nifty now. There is, say, third more variable, which is, say, the repo rates. Repo rate issued by the Reserve Bank of India. Now, obviously, repo rates have the direct effect on the banking stocks, right? Higher repo rates and lower repo rates are considered to be, the most important factor when it comes to the sensitivity to the banking sector stocks. So repo rates, GDP growth rate, Nifty, if you have these three factors which affects the return of any class of the asset, then how you can incorporate that? You need to see that how your stock has historically reacted to the change in GDP, how your stock has historically reacted to the change in Nifty, and how your stock has historically reacted to the repo rate changes. Now, these are the three parameters and indicators that I have taken. It could be n number of other variables too. That is something which is undefined in the arbitrage pricing policy. That which factors would be affecting which stock, there is a freedom of liberty given to you there. You may take as many number of factors which can affect the overall return of your share. That will be different from, industry to industry. For banking industry, the repo rate might be very much important one, but obviously for the heavy machinery industry, the repo rate is not something which is a very significant variable. Our balance of trade can be also a variable. So any macroeconomic indicator you see, the inflation rate is also something which may affect the expected rate of return. Rate of growth of deposits, say you are dealing with the banking company's stock of return expectation, then rate of growth of deposits, that how many number of deposits are added, say the fixed deposits or some other deposits put by the client in the bank or in overall banking sector. So rate of growth of deposits, or I may call it the growth of deposits, is also something which might be affecting your return from the stock. So your first task will be to identify all the factors which collectively, mutually, and individually affects your overall return from the particular risk or class of the asset. This RF is going to be the same for everyone. That's fine, because this is something which you get at any point of time without incurring any kind of a cost, any kind of a risk. Sorry. This might be the government security. This might be something else. This might be a fixed deposit by any bank. This might be something else where, with a very, very negligible amount of risk, you can get a very good percentage of the return. That's the risk-free rate over and above. Now see, the same mechanism we had followed in the capital asset pricing policy, we are going to adopt over here too. So one factor we have identified in this case is the Nifty, right? And let me take this return as the market return. Try to understand this now. So what I'll do now is that I would add the beta RM minus RF, as simple as that. So that is the one factor included, but the story doesn't end over here. It gets traced further. So I'm again plus doing the plus. So now I would put the beta. Now this beta was between your stock and Nifty. But the second beta would be between the stock and GDP. So beta coefficient of stock and GDP growth rate that you have taken in bracket, right? GDP growth rate, instead of RM you would take the GDP growth minus the risk free rate. Same would be the case for the third indicator, same would be the case for the fourth indicator. So whatever the number of variables you will be finding the beta coefficient of each variable with the each of this, and then you will try to build an equation. This is easy to understand conceptually, but there is a fancy math involved over there. People try to make it so complicated sometime. When I refer to some of the people's explanation on this, it sounds so complicated. They're like, if you use some mathematical connotations over there, like limits and something like that, it becomes very complicated to understand. But that's nothing. It's very simple. Instead of market return, you would be replacing the other variables. It can be G, and all this number of variables would be added along with their beta. And that's the overall expected return of yours from the stock. So this is nothing but the multiple linear regression we follow. The same concept in the similar lines we do this particular thing. If you can recall the multiple regression line, the equation, we were following like this. Say the dependent variable we wanted to predict. So dependent variable is, say, the Nifty. We want to predict the Nifty based on the movement of, say, Dow Jones. Now Dow Jones is the US stock markets index. You must be aware about it. Now Nifty is something which you want to predict. So how can you predict the Nifty? And say Dow Jones is one factor which affects your Nifty. Then say, for example, second factor which I want, the Nifty, GDP growth rate of India, which affect the Nifty percentage. Say third variable I want to take is say, for example, inflation rate. So what we were finding the beta coefficient. The statisticians generally call it as the regression coefficient. The Excel people call it as slope. So whether you call it as slope, or you call it as beta, or you call it as regression coefficient, both are all are same only. This all are same. अलग अलग नाम है, विराट कोहली बोलो कि चीकू बोलो, दोनों सेम ही है, राइट? So we find the beta for each of this variable, that how your return from particular stock is varying based on the variances in this particular variables. One is the Dow Jones, another one is the GDP growth rate, third one is the inflation rate. So you find the beta of all these three. Then you multiply the value of Dow Jones. You put the value of Dow Jones over there. Then you put the value of GDP growth rate over here, and then you put the value of inflation over here. So if you have these three values, then you can predict that this one can be my Nifty percentage of return. So it's the same as we have done over there. It's the same. So give me a 1 second. I'm sharing one equation with you so that it would be crystal clear. And we would also take one sum of it. Just a second, I'm searching it. Okay, so let me share my screen with you again, and please go through this equation. Okay, so this is my expected return from any stock, but instead of one variable, you have the various other variables too. Now this y0 has been taken as the expected return on asset with the zero systematic risk. So that is nothing but the risk-free rate, right? Then you multiply the beta of each and every factor with the risk premium related to that particular factor. So risk premium related to the GDP, risk premium related to the inflation, risk premium related to some other factor we have taken. All these three will be multiplied with their beta sensitivity, and putting together, you would have the expected return from any share. Right? Now, there are certain assumptions taken by this model, else you cannot, find this expected return as per the arbitrage pricing policy. We would take one sum of it, but I think you have got the conceptual understanding of it, right? In case if you couldn't understand, let me wrap it up for you. One is you will have to find the beta sensitivity of each variable with the stock. Just like you find the beta sensitivity of market return and the stock return, what you are doing over there, you are finding that how your stock was reacting to the market. In the same manner, now you will be finding the beta sensitivity that how your stock will be reacting to the GDP growth rate, find the beta of that. How your stock will be reacting to the inflation rate, find that particular beta, and apply this equation, as simple as that. Keep on adding those, and you have got the arbitrage pricing theory, and as per that you get the expected return of security. Now this is also called as the arbitrage. Now arbitrage generally is generally has been understood as that without investing any money you are getting some return. So how that particular arbitrage definition is applied over here in this particular theory? The reason is that, say, if you know that 4 to 5 factors are affecting your market, your return from the stock, and if you can identify that, then accordingly you can find the expected return from the shareholders, so from particular share. That means now, if you can identify this particular sequence, then you can predict the return from this particular stock. You may take, and if your prediction is very good about the return of this particular stock, then you earn it, by taking some debt or some other kind of a thing. And because of the fact that you have taken a debt and you are investing in the market, and you are investing in the market because you feel that you will be getting the return which is more than a debt percentage. So that's nothing but the arbitrage you have taken, because see, debt is not your investment. You have taken the money, but you are quite sure that the expected return from this particular stock would be very high as compared to the debt. Say the debt is available just to you at the risk free rate, then obviously your stock of return, if you are adding these variables, that would be more than that. So your investment hasn't taken place and you have earned something from it. So that's why might not be the exact relationship, but I'm trying to find the gist of this word arbitrage which is used over here. That's why. So it is something which is the expected return from the shares if you take two or more variables into account. Now, What are the factor characteristics, or we may call it, these are the various assumptions which the model has taken. One is the each risk factor must have the pervasive influence on the stock returns. Now the factor which we have taken, no, has the great influence on the stock return, and that must be historically proven. Then only you can take that as a factor, otherwise not. The risk factors must have the non-zero prices. When I say the non-zero prices, that means if, say, any of this value which we are multiplying with the beta, if that comes as zero, then that particular variable will be nullified. So you must have the prices which shall be non-zero. The risk factors must be unpredictable in the market. If they can be predicted very easily, then also you cannot apply this model. The unpredictability element must be there. So in totality, you can say that it is a risk-free rate plus the risk premium for the factor 1, risk premium for the factor 2, risk premium for the factor 3. Putting together, you get the expected rate of return. And for each and every entry, you must have the non-zero kind of an entry. Otherwise, that factor would be eliminated, because if you multiply that with beta, and if anything you have, and you multiply that with the beta, that becomes zero. Because zero के साथ कभी कुछ multiply करोगे तो zero ही हो जाएगा. तो the values which you are multiplying with the beta must be the non-zero values. And if all these conditions are satisfied, then you can take those factors and you may find the expected rate of return. So may I have a confirmation from the chat box, please, that you have got this crystal clear? Arbitrage is absolutely clear to you? Everyone? May I have a confirmation through the chat box, please, that till now you have got it? Everyone? Okay, waiting for your confirmation, guys. Good. So we have got it from Miss Neha, from Miss Chitra, Miss Leela, and from Miss Vidya too. Good. Others, I'm assuming that they are also getting it. If you haven't got it, please let me know. Okay. Now this arbitrage pricing policy will be applied when we will be finding the portfolio returns. We would also find the expected return from the portfolio by using this arbitrage pricing policy model. Clear? And in the portfolio management, the actual return is something which the portfolio has given to you. And we would try to expect the return by using the arbitrage pricing policy. So for that, I will circulate one Excel file next time around. I would take one extra session of yours as well. But I guess 2 to 3 sessions would be by max would required for this. And you will be able to complete that. So I think let me give some time to give you that particular Excel file, and that only we will be doing it. So that will be done in the next session. But till now, you must have understood that what is the arbitrage pricing policy. Instead of one factor, you are taking too many other factors into account. You try to find that what is the expected rate of return from the stock. Actual rate of return is different from the expected. Actual portfolio return you can find by multiplying with the weights of each and every asset class which you have taken, right? So let me go through that now. Portfolio return, and after that I'll be completing that. So this is the expected rate of return as per the arbitrage pricing policy. Now let's go to the actual return. Now what can be the actual return? Obviously, whatever the return percentage you have got from that particular class of the assets for all this number of periods, you will be noting those down somewhere. And you will find the percentage of return of those class. Then what do you do? Let's say, for example, you have one risk class which is shares, another one is say mutual fund, and third one is say real estate. And in real estate, you have 0.5 percentage of your money block. In mutual fund, you have 0.2. And in shares, you have remaining 0.3. So in total, you have the weight of 1, right? And say, for example, from the shares, you have got the return of 10 percentage. From mutual fund, you have got the return of, say, 8 percentage. And from real estate, you have got the return of, say, 7 percentage. Then what is the portfolio return? You need to multiply the weights with the return of each and every asset class which is a part of your portfolio. So portfolio return equal to 0.3 multiplied by 0.10, sorry, plus weight of 2. So weight of 2, that is the mutual fund, is 0.2 multiplied by the return of mutual fund. So that is 0.08, plus you add 0.5, which is the weight of real estate in your portfolio, multiplied by 7 percentage return, so 0.07. And if you solve this equation, you get the actual return from the portfolio. So once we are crystal clear about the actual and expected as per the arbitrage pricing policy, then we can go to the practical sums of it in the next session onwards, and we'll be absolutely doing it in the Excel file. We would manually calculate that too, and we would also be doing it in the Excel file. So that I'll be circulating in the next lecture. Till now, if you have any doubts or queries related to expected return as well as the actual return, you can let me know. Anyone having any queries or doubt till now? Yes, once we'll do the practical of it, we'll be able to understand in a better way. How can we find the risk premium related to the each and every variable that can be found when we will be doing it exactly practically. Okay, and one more thing, again, I'm clarifying that today at 2:30, every one of you must receive one Google form. I'll give that to you before 10 minutes, and I'll open the link only at 2:30. And within a 15 to 20 minutes, you will have to complete your quiz. Right? So please put it in the back of your mind. Everyone, please inform to the other students as well that we will be having a quiz. Conceptually, you must be ready with the second module's parts, and as well as some of the practicals as you can refer to, like Walter's model, Gordon's growth formula model. You may see Modigliani Miller model too. Conceptually, you must be clear about those parts. So that's it from my side. Let me just stop